This world goes crazy over superhero movies. Box office hits 3.5 trillion for a single comic. They even built theme parks for heroes who don't exist. Still, people keep believing real heroes will save them one day. A dad and his kid are hanging out when the boy spots a man floating in the air, calling him a superhero. Everyone's stunned, thinking it's a movie shoot. The cameraman shouts that he wants the first photo with the superhuman. The guy in the air smirks, asks what pose, and in a flash, slices the cameraman's neck. Blood falls on the girls who stand frozen. People don't believe their eyes, and panic spreads as everyone runs to save themselves from this son of a homelander. This dude doesn't like the noise, so he turns to freaky monsters and yells at them to shut up, and everyone goes dead silent. In return, he gifts them with raining fireballs. The story reveals that with the emergence of real superhumans, humanity faces the crises of the apocalypse. The whole world almost collapses, and this homelander says it's so cool. The second day of the apocalypse brings destruction to America, and on the third day, Greenland is wiped out. And in this way, it took 5 days to annihilate 57% of the world. The supervillain watches the chaos from space. He doesn't know that the world is uniting against him and prepares a response. The supervillain is chilling on a Maldives beach. A united world army finds him and drops a whopping 100 megaton hydrogen bomb on this crazy bastard. The bomb blows the sea into steam. The destruction is apparent from far space. Almost 3 countries were wiped away from the face of the earth. But this guy just yawns, even after being hit by the direct damage. At White House, this immortal villain reveals his name as Friday. The president is shocked when a secretary informs him that a secretary has arrived at the office just to meet him. Under tight security surveillance, the president is even offered to wear a bulletproof vest, but he just fixes the tie and walks, thinking of himself as a gigachad. He meets on Friday and gets straight to the point. Friday drives his arm through the president's body, saying he needs his life just to watch how the world reacts. The security team opens fire, bullets tearing into Friday's face. Unfazed, he tosses the president's body aside and turns to the cameras. "Am I the bad guy again?" he says coldly. "You still don't know why I do this." He reveals he was born into poverty, forced to dig through trash every day just to survive. One day his mother fell ill. She could have been saved if they had money for the hospital. His father broke under the pressure, drowned himself in alcohol, and was later shot by police while stealing drinks. "I was miserable and the world didn't care," he says. Sad story, right? Then he grins like a madman. But it's all a lie. That broadcast spread worldwide. Friday's madness and the meaningless death of the US president plunged the world into chaos. It felt like the last spark of hope was fading, yet somewhere, it still burned. In the frozen mountains, hidden beneath the snow, a team of scientists worked in secret underground missile bases. "Neptune's sphere is progressing smoothly," says a scientist. "It'll be ready in about a week." A commander says the final battle begins, and humanity won't give up easily. His name is Yakin, commander of the World United Army Swiss base. Shockingly, the demon Friday barges into that place too. Yakin couldn't believe his eyes at how this creep found them 250 men underground. People panic as Friday checks out a new toy humanity prepares for him. One scientist says to Yakin that things are over. Yakin looks at the soldiers aiming on Friday. He tells this scientist, Ju Sung-han, to evacuate with civilians and researchers. He also appoints him as a leader, which surprises him, and he asks Yakin to reconsider the meaningless evacuation. But Yakin insists Sung survive at all costs while gathering meaningful people who aim to protect humanity and show that humanity will never be defeated by Friday. Sung says it's an honor to serve the commander and runs away, obeying the orders. Meanwhile, Friday is all in tears by this touching scene, and the soldiers are sweating, fearing unpredictable shit from this guy. Yakin tells his men that it's an honor to serve as a commander, and even if no one remembers them, he definitely would. He orders everyone to open fire, and you know the brutal end of anyone who stands against Friday. Elsewhere, Sung snipes a deer in the cold-ass forests. He is happy he finally caught some food. But strangely, this forest grows around Seoul, Korea, because 5 years have passed in the blink of an eye since that Friday incident. He packs up the deer and heads home. As he walks in, 2 kids are hanging out by the door, clutching chocolates, waiting for Sung to return with the deer. The blonde girl, Soa, cheers when she wins the bet, claiming both chocolates. But then the boy, Junsik, grabs them and bolts away. Another kid, Youngjae, is quietly sketching, but his drawing gets wrecked in all the commotion. Our guy can't help but smile, thinking that their place might be the only loud house left in Seoul. He remembers the first time he met the kids, which was about 4 years ago. He was just strolling along thinking about what to eat when he spotted a group of thugs banging on a restaurant door, claiming they weren't bad people. He bumped into them and asked if they had ramen. Instead of answering, they looked at him like they were planning to rob him. He recognized one of them and asked, "Aren't you that convenience store clerk?" One thug swung a weapon at him, but he tossed him aside like he was nothing. The thug was left reeling, wondering what just happened. The thug didn't even see it coming, but felt the young boy nail him in the liver while he was swinging the hammer, which made 0 sense. Right then, another thug lunged at our boy with a spear. Just as he thought he had the upper hand, he got choked out so tight he couldn't even tap out. The thug was heavy, so our hero told the other one to carry him away, and he just did. Later, our boy was super stoked to find a ramen that was the last one left. Out of the blue, he heard people talking about the bad guy's box of 8. Curious, he checked it out and found 3 kids defending a girl with whatever they could find as weapons. Junsik and Sewa were throwing punches. All they had to do was face our boy. Youngjae was trying to rally them, telling them to stick together, but they shot back at him, saying it was all his fault for wanting to go to the store. He snapped, saying they all wanted to go too. Our hero walked over, but they were still at it. Sewa swung a broom, while Sang-jin, holding a baseball bat, swung it with all his might and accidentally hit Jungjae. Jung shouted at him, and Sang tossed the bat away like he was about to go all out. Jungjae just clung to our hero's leg. He got close to the unconscious girl and checked her temperature, realizing she had a fever. He handed Sewa some fever medicine and told them to give it to her twice a day, apologizing for scaring them before he left. Sang was still hanging onto his leg. As he jumped away, Jang started fighting again. Then, out of nowhere, Sewa said they needed to make a decision to survive. So, they picked up their unconscious teacher and followed our boy. Sewa joked that they just happened to be heading the same way as him and weren't actually following him. He pointed out that he didn't say anything, then turned to leave, and the kids followed without a clue. After teasing them a bit, he finally invited them to tag along. So that day, our hero mentions that they've been living together for a while now, and as time went by, they really started to feel like a family. Then Nuna, their teacher, shows up. She tells the boy that she's already heated up the water so he can hop in the shower. He gets a bit confused and asks if she means right there, but she quickly clarifies that she just meant his top. He takes off his shirt, and wow, turns out he's got a pretty solid build. Nuna pauses for a second, then laughs softly while checking out his muscles, joking about which girl will snag him one day. It makes him blush a bit. Later that night, Nuna's out on the balcony with some tea, soaking in the stars over Seoul. Our hero joins her and reminisces about how the city used to never sleep. He mentions they still have food but need more stuff, so he plans to head to the big mart. Nuna gets worried about the mall being dangerous, but he brushes it off, saying it's been quiet for a month. Plus, Junsik's birthday is coming up, and he wants to treat him to something nice. Nuna tells him it must be tough taking care of everyone. He sighs and says she and the kids are his first real family and that's enough for him. He tells her to head to bed since it's chilly. She jokes that if they're a family, that'd make them husband and wife. He doesn't get it at first, but when she smiles and says she's just teasing, he tells her not to make jokes like that. She laughs and asks what's wrong with that anyway. The next morning, they all walk to the market. Junsik's whining about the cold was suddenly interrupted when 2 snowballs hit him right in the face. Then one smacks our hero. He looks up and sees it was Nuna. He throws one back and out of nowhere, a giant snowball rolls down towards Nuna and the kids. They end up turning it into a huge snowman. At the mart, everyone gets hyped, grabbing their favorite snacks and clothes. Our hero spots some branches nearby and wonders where they came from since he's never noticed trees around. The kids call for him, so he shrugs it off, thinking it's probably just the wind, totally missing the fresh footprints leading into the mart. The hero hands out whistles and tells everyone to stick with a buddy, avoid other floors, and blow the whistle if anything goes down. They have an hour to pile everything up fast. Nuna is sifting through the clothes when Seowa shows up in a dress that looks a lot like hers. Nuna grins and tells her she looks even cuter. Meanwhile, Jung is loading up a bunch of snacks into Junsik's backpack. Junsik ends up slipping, falling right onto Jung, and watches as his favorite snacks roll away. While Junsik reaches for his snack, he spots a gaming zone nearby. Suddenly, Jung pops out from the snack pile, mad at Junsik, but Junsik's already taken off. Elsewhere, the hero is walking solo, still thinking about that broken tree. He can't wrap his head around why this place is so empty. When he opens a door, he finds rotten bones inside. That's when it hits him. There are way more people dead here than alive. Outside, it's even worse, with reports saying 5.7 billion deaths in the war against Friday. People were running everywhere because of the war, but surprisingly, Seoul didn't get hit that hard. No one really knows what happened to Friday. It's still a mystery. Our hero finally catches up with Nuna and Seoa and asks where the kids are. Sung pops up behind Seoa, but Junsik is MIA. In that moment, he freezes. He quickly pulls out a gun and hands it to Nuna just in case. As he heads off to look for Junsik, he tells her it's their husband's job, making her blush. But then he quickly says he was just joking. Later, they're calling out for Junsik all over the mall. Our hero checks every nook and cranny until he spots a snack Junsik left behind. He glances over and sees Junsik totally absorbed in a game. Our hero asks what he's up to, and Junsik wants to know if he wants to join in. Our hero tells him to cut the crap because everyone's been losing their minds worrying about him. But Junsik replies that some guy told him they should play first. Our hero freezes and scans the area. When Junsik mentions he flicked the guy's forehead pretty hard, our hero instantly pulls out his weapon. His eyes go red as he moves closer to the stranger. The guy mutters that he's lost again, sending chills down our hero's spine, because this stranger is none other than Friday. He's already lost 9 times, and each time Junsik flicks his forehead, driving him nuts. Nuna watches as our guy frantically tosses stuff into his bag, telling everyone they have to leave right away. She's confused, asking why they're suddenly taking off and what went down at the mart. He remembers what Junsik said and knows there's no time to waste. He just has to protect his family and grab whatever chance they have to get out. Junsik looks up, clearly puzzled and anxious, wondering why he seems so on edge. Before he can say more, Friday coldly points out that he won't take his frustration out on them just because he lost a game, even though he hates losing. But after this, he's still planning to play hide-and-seek like he promised. And since the game has started, they should run as far as they can without being spotted. He won't lose the second round. Back in the present, our guy quietly promises to keep his family safe no matter what. Nuna still doesn't get what's really going on. When he opens the door, there are heaps of gifts piled outside their place. She asks who left them and why they're there, but he tells her to just grab the essentials because they need to leave right now. As a kid, he watched everyone cheer for first place, and yeah, he won too, but he never understood the excitement. Some people cried over losses, but he realized he couldn't relate because he never had a family. At the bamboo bridge, he tells the kids not to cry and to just follow him. They keep grumbling, unsure of where they're headed. Nuna asks how much longer it'll be since it's getting dark and the snow's coming down harder. He reassures them they'll be fine once they cross the river and will take a break if they find an empty house. Junsik suddenly points ahead, asking why there are so many snowmen and why they look so weird. Our hero squints and realizes they aren't snowmen at all. They're frozen humans. The snow's coming down harder and it feels like the temperature is dropping fast. The kids are getting tired and Nuna keeps pushing them to move forward. She asks how much longer it'll take, but our hero has no clue. He silently apologizes as the cold hits them like they're in Siberia after the bombings. All of a sudden, Seoa collapses, completely drained. Everyone freaks out as our hero tries to think straight. Out of the thick snow, a light flashes, and a guy waves a torch, shouting for them to follow if they want to survive. They hurry after him and make it to his apartment, which is way bigger than a regular house and surprisingly cozy inside. Nuna tells the kids to thank the old man who just saved their lives. He points them toward the washroom and reminds them to use minimal water since it's scarce here. Our hero lays Seoa on the bed while the old man lectures him about nearly getting everyone killed and warns him not to be so reckless again. Our guy knows the man did save them, but something about staying there still feels sketchy. He thinks about whether they should keep moving, even though it's risky, but Nuna tells him to clean up first, since he's been working hard. He quietly admits he didn't know when they'd arrive and apologizes for putting everyone at risk. Nuna sighs, saying he always puts others first, but shouldn't have to carry everything alone. She gently caresses his face, reminding him they're family and that gives him strength. She jokes that he looks better with his forehead showing, which makes him smile for the first time in ages. Meanwhile, the old man sits quietly, staring at a photo of his own family, probably the one he lost. Later, our hero studies a city map to figure out their next move. They've crossed south of the Han River but don't know much about the area. They need to get far away from Friday, even if it means crossing the sea. Junsik comes over, offering him some potatoes, and our hero asks if the stranger back at the mart said anything else. Right when Junsik is about to answer, there's a loud knock on the window. Friday is standing outside. Our hero freezes in shock, totally freaking out about how that monster tracked them down. Friday raises his hand, ready to flick his finger. finger. Our hero yells for the kids to run, but before they can even move, a massive blast slams him backward. In the blink of an eye, a huge explosion tears through the old man's apartment. He gets thrown out, but is somehow still alive, just unconscious. He barely opens his eyes and sees his family hanging out of the window, just a hair away from falling. He can't believe what he's seeing. Memories flood back. His family, the times he saved them, building snowmen, and the good moments with Nuna, all gone in an instant thanks to Friday. Now he can only wish he could protect them one more time. His subconscious is haunted by memories of Nuna and the kids, covered in blood and tears. Their voices send chills down his spine. He had called them family, so why should they die? He yells out, waking up from that nightmare, gasping and promising to protect them. The old man next to him just shakes his head and says they barely made it because of the thick snow, but he can't say the same for the hero's family. Desperate, our guy starts searching through the wreckage, hoping for any sign of life. The old man tries to push him back, but he can't stand the thought of living without knowing if they're okay. The old man urges him to face reality, but he fires back, asking what life means without family. They were the first real family he ever had. Out of nowhere, a man shows up and claims that his family is alive, saying he saw everything after Friday showed up at their apartment. Our hero can't believe his ears and asks if all 4 of them are really okay. The guy mentions that this info will cost food for 20 people since his family's starving. When he demands spicy tuna on top of that, the old man calls him a liar. The man looks over, unimpressed, and says, if they don't want to help, fine. But don't blame him when it all goes south. Our hero asks the man to help him, offering to bring whatever else he needs as soon as possible. The witness just bluntly asks for fried ramen. As our hero gets ready to leave, the old man warns him that trusting this guy is a huge mistake, explaining that he's just using his family as bait. The hero replies that he's got nothing left to lose, even if it turns out to be a trap. He walks off, telling the old man he might not get what losing a family is really like. The old man responds that maybe he doesn't, but in this world, even a glimmer of hope can be weaponized against you. He tells the hero not to throw his life away after coming this far and to stick around until the end. The hero thanks him for his kindness and says he'll repay him someday. Once Nuna had told him that the kids hadn't come back, they promised to be quick but never returned. He promised he'd go find them. After searching all day with no luck, he finally returned home to find they'd thrown him a surprise birthday party. Since he didn't even know his real birthday, the day they met became his special day. Nuna apologized for the surprise, and the kids started bickering as usual, which made him smile like never before. Back in the present, our guy brings all the food the witness asked for. The man looks at the food like he hasn't eaten in days. When our hero asks where his family is, the witness casually says that Friday blew up the apartment and then just disappears. Our hero is stunned. The guy turns his back and says he can't remember what happened next because he's too hungry. But maybe he'll recall if our hero brings more spicy tuna. At this point, our hero snaps, demanding how the guy could lie about something so serious. But before he can react, a bunch of thugs suddenly appear out of nowhere. Turns out they're the 20 people he ordered food for. One thug, smirking, says they really wanted to know about his family, especially that thick waifu of his. Before anything else happens, a random punch sends a thug flying. As he falls, a bloody slam knocks him hard to the ground. Our hero can't contain his anger anymore and starts unleashing a storm of punches on the thugs' faces. The fake witness watches in shock, complaining that interrupting someone mid-sentence is just wrong. Our hero tells him it doesn't matter when the guy's already dead. He smirks, admitting he's killed before, and calling it just a coincidence since he's no stranger to this kind of chaos. The fake witness isn't impressed at all. He calls our guy brother and talks about how they used to be athletes who lived for sports. They've been fighting since they were kids and are a different breed now. One of them starts circling our hero, even grabs his hair, bragging about how he used to rank in welterweight boxing. Our hero just nods and asks if they know where his family is. The guy responds by punching him in the face and keeps hitting him while mocking him to throw a jab. Our hero unexpectedly catches the guy's foot mid-kick, causing him to trip. Then he snaps the dude's leg. Standing tall, the fake witness orders everyone to attack. As the thugs rush in, our hero lands a punch that breaks one guy's nose. He takes on 4 of them, using elbows, punches, and knees to push them back. One guy seems pretty skilled, actually blocking a kick from our hero. But our guy isn't letting up. He slams his foot down on the goon's head, knocking him out. Another thug tries to sneak up, but our hero ducks and counters, slamming him to the ground with a classic punch to send him out cold. He's still ready to keep going, but then a little gym rat comes in and throws him, sending him sliding down. As our hero gets back up, he turns pale when the new guy starts cursing him out, bragging like crazy. The next thing he knows, he's got legs on his shoulders and the guy's trying to put him him in an arm lock. At first, our hero thinks about snapping the guy's neck, but now it's too late. He breaks the guy's arm with a brutal move, and a kick to the face finishes him off for good. Our hero strides over the lifeless body, casting a fierce aura toward the remaining scared thugs. They grab their weapons, but their confidence starts to fade as he approaches, making it clear who's really in charge. One even bolts away, and just like that, they all scatter, leaving only the fake witness, who's clearly rattled by how the ex-athletes lost to our hero. Our hero asks what's got him so deep in thought, and the witness just apologizes. Out of nowhere, a jab to the ribs hits him hard. He's in pain but can't help but gripe that he didn't do anything worth dying for. He grabs the guy's neck, and the thug can't believe the strength he's facing. He claims our hero's family is alive, but this time our guy isn't buying it. He chokes him hard, and the goon barely manages to say our hero can ask Friday himself. Our hero decides to let him live, and the thug mentions meeting on Friday if he's that angry. But just thinking about it sends chills down our guy's spine. Later, the thug shows a paper revealing that Friday started this so-called rising religion, which is basically a cult where people worship him like a god. The wild part? The worshippers have leaders who call themselves heroes, and they're not just any ordinary group. Our hero kicks the guy to get straight to the point, and the thug says he can hook him up with Friday through the hero cult. Our hero asks the goon if he can give him a ride over. The goon chuckles and tells him to think of the hero cult as the last group of people who can actually talk to Friday. They're definitely not your average folks. When our hero wants to know if the goon can show him the way, the goon laughs again and says he's not crazy enough to step foot in that hellhole where they hang out. Next, we shift to the hero cult, where a little girl is excitedly showing a dude her drawing. A guard gets on her case for wandering in, but the guy kneels down and says she doesn't need to apologize, since a kid's mistake is really an adult's problem. That guy is Gumsu, the hero of the Jamsil branch. Meanwhile, an old man tells our hero that the big shots in the hero cult are called heroes. They're total zealots who hang out with Friday all the time, and that's pretty much the only way to get in touch with him. But he warns our hero to stay clear of the Jamsil branch. Then we cut to a pile of freshly killed dudes, and the one who did the slaughtering is kneeling down, worshipping Friday's name, showing he's even crazier than Friday himself. They want to be like Friday, the only superhuman among all mankind. Since they can't become superheroes themselves, they make a vow to become heroes in their own way. Jumsu, covered in blood, starts to understand the love that Friday wants to give. The reason he punishes the believers is because they dare to enter the sanctuary for Friday with outdoor shoes. Every hero respects Friday, but Gumsu's devotion is on another level. He is from the hero cult's Jamsil branch. As a child, he was just a scared kid, but now things are totally different. He feels confused about those believers and wonders if he means those guys lying lifeless over there. The minion tries to ask if they can leave now, but our guy grabs him by the neck, shutting him down. He then tells Gumsu to bring that bastard right here, right now. Gumsu feels confused about him calling Friday a bastard and asks if he is his friend. Our guy lets out a sigh of relief and says that is not the answer he wants. He suddenly lunges forward and is about to punch Gyumsu in the face, asking if he should call Friday the son of a witch, then brutally punches him. But to his surprise, Gumsu quickly counters the attack. In the next moment, they are both outside the building. Gumsu thinks our guy is really aggressive, and the minion wonders about that insane reaction speed. The minion can't see it properly. He thinks it was the same with the black-haired guy and wonders if there were always this many monsters in their country. Gumsu immediately grabs him in a position to break his neck and mentions that he entered the sanctuary wearing outdoor shoes. Seeing this, the man gets completely shocked. Our guy steps in and warns him not to make him say it twice. He gets up and says he doesn't have time, then tells him again to bring Friday to him. He dashes forward without wasting a second, trying to land a brutal kick at Gumsu's face, who gets surprised for a moment. Our guy doesn't hold back and goes for another clean strike at him, but things aren't going his way as Gumsu suddenly appears behind him. Gumsu says he must at least have the right to raise his voice. Taken aback, our guy turns around and tries to punch him again, but Gumsu dodges and says it's still not enough. He then tries to wrap threads around our guy's neck. Our guy manages to place his hand between the threads and his neck, stopping it. As Gumsu pulls tighter, he explains that the thread is used to catch spearfish. He asks if he knows what a spearfish is, saying it's a fish that weighs over 900 kilos, so strong that it's unreal. But then he gets shocked when he notices dozens of cuts on our guy's back and realizes he has been through something serious. Our guy tells him to stop talking nonsense and demands again to bring Friday to him. He manages to break free from the ties, leaving Gumsu stunned. He can't believe those ties were broken. Gumsu comments that it's a big catch and says he has the right to call him that. Our guy looks confused and asks what he means. Gyeomsu says he wanted to see Friday. Inside a car heading down the road, our guy thinks it has been 5 years since the world ended. He never thought he would ride in a car again and still can't believe where he is now. Gumsu asks if he thinks he is weak and then says something has always existed throughout human history. He says it's violence. Looking back, humanity has constantly killed each other even when there were other ways. But if he thinks simply, it makes sense. Violence is much clearer and faster than words. He points out that our guy is the same, always using his fists when he doesn't get answers. Our guy asks what his point is. Meanwhile, the people outside start freaking out, saying that a new fighter has arrived. They can't believe the hero brought someone new. Our guy wonders who those people are. Gumsu explains that all human emotions, joy, anger, sorrow, and pleasure, are tied to violence. He believes violence is a gift from the gods. Even in hero movies, heroes win through violence. Then he says what our guy said about Friday was wrong. He finishes by saying that our guy is more than qualified and tells him to come with him to the stage where he can become a hero. At the hero cult. Jamsil branch. Things are getting wild in the basement level 2 of the main arena. 2 guys are ready to throw down and it's going to be brutal. First up is this huge wrestler named Mac Damon, and standing opposite him is an old man who's barely holding it together, trembling and reminding everyone to respect their elders. The size difference is insane, making it feel like a one-sided brawl. As expected, the wrestler mops the floor with the old guy, treating the whole thing like a walk in the park. 5 years ago, at Mount Baekdu, before Jumsu Su became a hero for the cult, he was just 24. Back then, humanity was running for cover from Friday, who was curious about what everyone was doing there. People quickly realized it was a time filled with dread and powerlessness. Even Friday was starting to wear out. He was tired of the same old responses from everyone and felt pushed into becoming the bad guy. So he made a bold call to wipe out humanity. He wanted to witness something fresh. People were freaked out, and there were only 15 minutes left before the world ended. The whole planet was in chaos, screaming in despair. In all the craziness, this random guy was staring down the barrel of what felt like a pointless death. He couldn't help but think about how he'd never even been on a date. It felt so unfair. Just then he spotted a girl crying her eyes out, saying she didn't want to die. Without thinking, he rushed up to her, shouting that she should marry him. Then one of the thugs grabbed him by the neck. Out of nowhere, this old dude who looked like he belonged in a retirement home just vanished when someone drove a broken piece of wood into his back. That was Gumsu, jumping in and telling everyone to act like they usually did. When faced with death, people's true colors came out. It was wild. Everyone started turning on each other like it was a free-for-all. Humanity was on the edge of extinction, total chaos. Suddenly, Friday couldn't help but laugh at the whole scene. This is exactly what he had been waiting for. Watching all that violence was pure entertainment for him. Because of that, humanity's end got pushed back. In the end, it turned out that violence was what saved everyone once again. That's why Gumsu throws a festival every single day to show his appreciation for Friday. It's all about keeping him entertained. Watching this unfold, the guy couldn't believe how insane Gumsu was. Gumsu asked if it was really just for Friday's kicks, but that was what Friday wanted, a no-holds-barred fight. He cheered for the chaos, while the wrestler kept bragging about himself in the ring. The old man comments that the wrestler had some good judgment, but just didn't aim well. Since the old guy has no teeth, there's nothing to break if he gets hit. He likens it to wearing a mouth guard, which really catches the wrestler off guard. Then, out of nowhere, the old man starts shooting crazy spikes from his hand, going straight for the wrestler's eyes. It's wild. He's totally lost it, and now the wrestler is at his mercy. With those sharp nails, he begins to tear up the wrestler's face. In the end, the overconfident wrestler is taken down by the old dude. As he mutters about how young people these days have no respect for their elders, you can tell he really dislikes the younger crowd. Our guy is just standing there, shocked by the whole thing. The crowd thinks the old man is amazing and says this is what a real match looks like. Our guy can't wrap his head around it. On the flip side, Gumsu points out that everyone seems happy and claims our guy's perspective is all wrong. He goes on about how violence has this sacred power and that people are finally waking up to its value. He tells our guy not to stress because he'll get it soon enough. But our guy can't take it anymore and grabs Gumsu, telling him to quit spouting that ridiculous nonsense. He mentions he came here to see Friday. Gumsu asks if he's up for interacting and if he's searching for his family. He starts naming off his family members, and our guy is curious about how he even knows those names. Gumsu asks if it feels like he's just suddenly thrown into the match. He tells him that if he becomes a hero, he'll get to see Friday. With a creepy grin, he pushes our guy to stop hesitating and jump into the the match right now to show his real violent side. Meanwhile, a girl is wondering if that's the blackhead guy, Doha, and she realizes he looks just like the fighter she'll be managing. Our guy is all fired up, telling them to get him to the arena ASAP because he's ready to wreck everything. Gumsoo is wondering what they should do since the festival wraps up at 10 p.m. Our guy assures him they'll have everything set. He also reminds Gumsoo to stick to the rule that no violence happens outside the arena. He thinks there's something sacred about fighting and that using it recklessly is basically a crime. After that, Gumsoo runs into this girl and feels bad for interrupting her day off, but she's ready to take charge of our guy's mess. He starts sweating when he sees her because she looks just like his Nuna, so much so that he actually mistakes her for his sister for a second. Then the scene cuts to an apartment where our guy is seriously working out, doing handstands and stuff. He checks out a family photo, and right in front of him, this girl says he's incredible. She mentions how it's wild for a guy and a girl to be alone together while he's just grinding away at the gym without even catching any sleep. She looks a bit hurt, and he asks what she means by that. She explains she handles player care and analysis and was just really curious about him. She gets a little closer, and he's caught off guard, but she acts all chill about it. Then she suggests they should head to the arena. When they get to the hero cult Jamsil branch, a huge crowd is forming. He thinks there are way too many people and wonders where they all came from. Turns out about 10,000 folks are there, and he can't believe it's for a match like this. She tells him it's because watching fights is a blast. People, sick of just surviving, want to escape from reality, and the Jamsil branch offers that thrill. She talks about how the rush of violence is amazing and mentions Gumsoo, who supposedly brings that thrill as a real hero. He tells her to cut the nonsense, thinking that anyone who messes up in the arena through violence can't really be a hero. She points over to the lines of people waiting and says that even when everything feels like it's falling apart, folks still keep things together just to catch a match. They all stick to the rule that no fighting happens outside the arena. He's already booked his match for the earliest slot. She mentions that while violence makes some people miserable, it brings joy to others. Eventually, he asks if that means he has to make a sacrifice. She says yes and adds that sacrifice is what makes a hero. She thinks not everyone can achieve that. He tells her to head to the arena too, saying he gets it now. She insists that to become a hero, he needs to meet Gumsoo's standards. But just that alone won't cut it. He has to win big. Our guy is about to step into the arena for his debut fight, and the commentator is going wild hyping him up. He walks in, and it turns out he's facing off against McGregor, the ex-martial artist. The crowd isn't feeling it, trash-talking and saying there's no reason to have a rookie like him in the ring. Once the match kicks off, McGregor tries to grab him, but our guy grabs him right back and slams him to the ground, going to town with punches. Even when McGregor locks him up, he can't hold him back. McGregor talks a big game about crippling his arm and how tough he is, but our guy scoops him up and slams him down again. Blood's all over McGregor's face now. He doesn't quit there, picking him up and smashing him down multiple times. The crowd is loving it, chanting "rookie" and realizing he's actually really good. It's turning into a real fight, and McGregor's got nothing. With broken teeth and blood everywhere, he eventually throws in the towel. The ref calls it, and our guy wins. The statue of Friday keeps shining bright. Another guy steps in and asks if it's his first time here. He says he loves this place because he doesn't have to care about what others think. He's fought 15 matches and has 13 wins. That guy thinks he's the star here, but the next second our guy smacks him right in the face, completely rearranging it. Everyone freezes in shock. Meanwhile, our guy tells them to bring on the next opponent. The crowd goes wild, believing he's the real deal. The next opponent jumps in, ready to take him down, but instead, he gets beaten up badly. Our guy keeps calling for the next challenger, and one by one, he takes them down easily. Now, as he holds a random wrestler who starts coughing, he tells them again to bring the next opponent. He thinks he'll be out of here soon and hopes that Nuna and the kids stay safe. Meanwhile, the girl mentions that he's already on an 8-win streak on his debut. They say Gumsoo has a good eye for talent. Gumsoo hasn't even shown up, which probably means this guy hasn't met his expectations yet. They decide it's time to send him out. It's time to bring in the fighter they've prepared for him, the main event. The crowd is buzzing, wondering if he can stop this rookie's rampage. When the star of Jamsil, a promising fighter, steps out, our guy is shocked to see it's actually a little kid named Shim Ji-hoon. He can't believe they want him to fight a child. The crowd is hyped, telling him to crush the kid, excited to see this matchup. He finally realizes what kind of crazy place he's gotten himself into. Seeing how everyone's reacting, he's totally confused and can't figure out why they're cheering. He thinks maybe the kid did something really bad, but he looks way too young for that. Is he just super good at fighting? Meanwhile, the kid starts throwing punches at his leg, which doesn't even faze him. Maybe everyone's just having a good time. The crowd starts chanting for him to beat the little kid up more, insisting he should fight harder. Feeling like he has no choice, he raises his hand and takes a swing at the kid. After that, he tries to walk away, but the crowd's still buzzing, wondering if it's over yet. They keep shouting for him to hit the kid again. He goes over to the referee and says he thinks the kid can't keep going and that it's time to call the next opponent. But the referee decides it's not over yet and tells him to continue. He thinks there's no way the kid can keep fighting now, but then the kid gets back up. He's shocked that the kid is pushing himself so hard. The kid's dad is in the crowd, cheering him on, telling him he's doing great and just needs to survive 5 more minutes and then they'll get canned ham. He can't believe this whole thing is actually about canned ham. He starts to recall memories of his dad from way back. His dad is asking him how things are going. He remembers his dad saying his word is the law. When he was younger, he would call for his mom, but then he realized that upset his dad. His dad even asked if he wanted to run away, thinking a good beating would knock some sense into him. So he ends up getting beaten by his dad, who warns him that if he calls for his mom again, he'll really regret it. That really messes him up, and he starts believing his dad's words are the absolute truth. On the flip side, the kid's dad is still rooting for him to hang in there. His dad's voice keeps echoing in his head, telling him to just copy that kid blindly. He's hit with a wave of PTSD from his family, with Nuna saying how much she misses him. She tells him that to be a hero, he needs to live up to Gumsu's standards. So he approaches the kid and grabs his arm. Meanwhile, the crowd is totally hyped. The kid even starts biting his arm, and he's just had enough. Over on the side, Gumsu is watching all of this unfold. He can't believe a grown man is actually hitting a kid. It's typical, though. He thinks that guy didn't let him down. The chief next to Gumsu is also taking in the whole scene. He thinks he's different from the others and believes he can protect his family. He feels he's not like his dad at all. Just when he's about to go after that kid, the prayer time gets called out and everyone starts chanting and thanking Friday for it. Later that night, while he's in the shower, memories of his family hit him. They found an instant camera in a drawer once and took a photo together, but it came out blank at first. When they shook it, colors started showing up, and the kids were super excited. Nuna teased him about how funny he looked in the photo. That was their first family picture, and he still keeps it. Then Hana jumps in, telling him to take this beer. She says if he starts saying he doesn't drink, that'd be boring. He appreciates her for it. He asks her when he gets to be a hero, thinking he did pretty well in today's match. She agrees it was good and compliments his fighting skills. She tells him to keep up the good matches, just like the one with that kid today. She's glad he seems okay since a lot of people quit out of guilt. He reassures her, saying he can handle worse matches if it means getting to see his family again. She's not so sure that'll happen and brings up an interesting story about why Friday hasn't wiped humanity out yet. Apparently, Friday was playing football once, and with one kick, he ended up causing massive destruction in the city. Then he does a little shoe emote like Ronald. It's been 8 days since Friday's incident, and he's seriously in a bad mood. He's tired of humanity's usual reactions. He's craving something new and exciting. People are out protesting against the World Union, voicing their frustration over its weak response to Friday's events. Right now, the World Union HQ is packed with leaders from 228 nations, even the ones that aren't officially recognized. The crowds are demanding the disbandment of the useless World Union, and the media is fanning the flames. World leaders are starting to worry about how to calm things down, and then the president of Russia jumps in. Reporters are firing questions at him about the crisis. They're eager for his take, but he just calls them ignorant fools. The reporters are taken aback and go on the offensive, calling him all sorts of names. Meanwhile, the crowd is back at it, chanting for the disbandment again. Out of nowhere, he grabs a soldier's gun, trying to keep everyone quiet. He says they're out of time, and that if Friday showed up right now, it wouldn't even be surprising. He wonders about the possibility of more foolish deaths. He brings up that if there had been any previous attempts on their lives, it would be the perfect chance to take action. He insists the World Union won't waste this opportunity. He declares that all global weapon systems will be aimed at this barren wasteland with no life. The people are skeptical, thinking it's just a bluff. But he points out that they could have huddled together in a nuclear bunker, but chose this spot to prove they won't run away. He promises that the World Union won't abandon its people. Hearing this, the protesters start to calm down. They remember they want to get home to their families and begin to disperse. The president of Japan notices the crowd is shrinking, and it takes just a minute to level things out. At the World Union HQ, all the world leaders are present except for 3 nations, including South Korea. They start discussing countermeasures against Friday. But just when a couple of people jump up to share their research, the Russian president tells them to hold on. He says they need to pick a leader for the union. Everyone looks puzzled, but he insists that time is of the essence, and they can't wait for input from all 200 nations. They need someone to step up and call the shots quickly. Most agree, and they decide to pick a candidate, but then he just drops the bombshell that Russia is automatically in charge. That catches everyone off guard. The president of the USA jumps in to calm things down, saying they need to pick a leader first. But the Russian president chimes in, pointing out that their country has always had enemies lurking around, which is why they have strategic assets all over. He claims that last Friday's damage was nothing for them. He insists that the success of the summit hinges on Russia being involved and argues that there should be a fair price for that. The president of Japan stands up, confronting him about whether he's already trying to stir up division, asking what he means by cost. He challenges the Russian president, questioning if he can handle the fallout from Friday's crisis. The Russian president coolly states he's not asking, he's letting them know, which makes the Japanese president look pretty anxious. The US president warns him that if he keeps this up, cooperation is off the table. They demand a real apology for his comments. The Russian president shots back, calling them shameless for failing to even protect their own leader. He reminds everyone that his country streamed the president's death live for the world to see. He points out that it's clear who holds the blame for escalating the crisis. He asks if anyone disagrees. Then voting for the World Union's leader kicks off. The Russian president ends up with 205 votes and is elected as the World Union's chair. Once he's in the position, he mentions that his country has been running an experiment. His assistant steps in, and the chairman asks if everything's ready for the experiment. It turns out they've got everything lined up as instructed, and it's time to launch missiles. With a single button press, they set everything in motion. On the other side, people are left wondering about the whole gathering. Then, a massive rain of artillery missiles begins to fall, causing huge explosions, and Friday shows up without batting an eye. He declares that the World Union is the best. The other world leaders press the chairman for clarification. He explains that when a leader falls, the whole group crumbles. He adds that everyone present has a heavy weight to bear. After numerous experiments, they've figured out that sacrificing 1 million people draws Friday out, which stuns the other world leaders. He suggests that this isn't just a win for Russia, but a first major breakthrough for the World Union. Surprisingly, no one argues with him. Their relief shows just how much pressure they're under and how scared they are of facing Friday. They all seem to think that the burden should fall on someone else. Meanwhile, a soldier reports back to the regional commander about the sacrifice of 1 million civilians, questioning whether they're taking it too far. They confirm that Friday showed up. Korea's representative Choi tells everyone not to overthink it. He's asking how long it's going to take to get there because he really needs to use the bathroom, but they're stuck in the Southern Sea. He's kind of wondering if it's fine to go overboard. Choi chimes in, saying if his minion isn't paying attention, he can handle it. The regional commander isn't as complicated as he looks. Sometimes he feels a bit foolish for thinking he's supposed to represent their country, especially when it seems like he just wants the world to end in South Korea. It comes out that President Logan was assassinated by Friday, and the government keeps telling everyone to follow their instructions, promising they'll do whatever to keep people safe. Things are getting wild out there. Some truck drivers are driving like maniacs. One guy is even on the phone. Suddenly, a kid runs in front of the truck, and our guy jumps in to save the kid, who starts crying. Meanwhile, he's trying to figure out what to do as chaos breaks loose after the Friday incident. Fear is spreading everywhere like a wildfire. North Korea sees the destruction happening because of Friday and decides to invade South Korea. The Friday incident, the invasion, and all the internal drama create a domino effect. They start losing their grip on South Korea, and even tensions rise within the World Union. Then someone steps up, claiming there's a one-size-fits-all solution. He's the Army Special Ops commander, and when he shares his method, some people look puzzled. He rolls in with someone saying he was late because they were too heavy. He pulls out the dead body of the North Korean president, and Choi says that's the problem. The other leaders are questioning him like, is this really your solution? They're sweating and wondering who put him in charge. North Korean troops are freaking out and considering surrender. The South Korean president is left wondering if this means a reunification. They owe a big thank you to Choi. The government announces regional reunification and sends Choi, plus a few others, as South Korea's rep. That's the official story, but really, they just need someone to take the blame. When Choi walks into the World Union meeting, he says sorry for being late and introduces himself as South Korea's representative. The president of Britain says that even with their country in chaos, this is not okay. They think sending a regular soldier instead of a general shows South Korea doesn't care about its pride anymore. They ask him to leave immediately. Choi thinks this is total nonsense. As the translator is about to interpret what he's thinking, he decides not to bother. He raises his hand and gives everyone the universal sign, flipping them off. The world leaders are fuming, wondering if he's lost it and if he even knows where he is. They're yelling about how this rude Korean soldier needs a reality check and are thinking about putting Korea under international sanctions. He's feeling kind of fed up with following orders, so getting picked as a representative actually makes him happy. But he starts questioning if they really want to push him around here too. The world leaders are wondering if he's acting out because he can't handle the responsibilities of his role. Choi asks if they all think they're clever. He came because he wanted to own up to his position. He tells them that if they want respect, they need to show some first. Then he asks if they think he's acting high and mighty. One leader chimes in, saying if Choi's clueless, he should learn to read the atmosphere. It's the Chinese president who tells him to take a good look at the leaders in the room. He points out that not everyone there has nuclear weapons and asks them if they're up for testing that new weapon. Everyone is shocked and calls him crazy. Even though they all came for the same reasons, it feels like their real motives are getting fuzzy. Some people start shouting to kick Korea out of the summit. Meanwhile, Choi is like, "Am I a criminal now?" The Russian president steps in, saying that's enough. They agree to wrap up the meeting for today and come back tomorrow at 8 a.m. Someone brings up that to maintain the dignity of the organization, they need to discipline Choi. The Russian president, with a threatening vibe, announces that today's meeting is over and tells Choi to show up tomorrow as Korea's rep, to which Choi agrees. On the other side, the guy is lying on his bed. Thinking this World Alliance meeting is pretty intense, Choi seems a bit off too. He asks why she's lying next to him, and she replies that it's the only bed. He thinks about heading down to sleep, but she grabs his shirt and asks him to hear her story till the end. Meanwhile, the Russian president is in a skyscraper, looking out at the view. He cracks a grin, saying he's been waiting for this moment. And hey, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to ZuckerManhwa for more epic recaps coming your way.